David, let's break up. In a small and secluded forest on the side of the field in South River University, Sarah Jensen said to her boyfriend, David Liddell. Sarah, why? What did I do wrong? Why do you have to be so heartless? David asked, slightly emotional. They were both friends from high school and had started dating when they were in senior 3. Even though David's family background was not that great, he was very handsome, and he was good at studies. He was a typical boy who was considerate and family-orientated. When he was young and inexperienced in high school, he was naturally the crush of many of the female students. Sarah was not bad either. She was the most beautiful girl in class, and although her studies were not as great as David's, she was still one of the best students. Teachers often criticized them when they started dating. The teachers only decided to close one eye on their relationship after the two of them promised multiple times that they would not neglect their studies and would break up immediately if their studies worsened. Just as they said this, both of them managed to get into the National Key University, South River University, and a lot of people envied them. However, David did not expect Sarah to start to keeping her distance from him less than a year after he started university. Now, she was directly proposing breaking up with him. In reality, at the start of the semester, he noticed the changes in Sarah. Whenever they were together, Sarah's mind would be somewhere else. Moreover, she also used a lot of excuses to turn down the dates he proposed. On one of the Saturdays, he even saw Sarah get into the car of a playboy in their class. However, he still comforted himself that they were only going for a friend's gathering. However, Sarah's proposal to break up today shattered David's imagination. David, let's part ways without hard feelings and leave a beautiful memory for the both of us, okay? Sarah, tell me, is it because of Leo Tate? What if it is? Sarah, Leo is famous for being a playboy in the university. He even got a female student pregnant last semester, don't you know that? Leo explained it to me. It was a mistake after both of them were drunk. Besides, that girl is the one who made the first move. He even compensated the girl after that. Sarah, don't believe him. He's lying to you. He's dating a lot of people at the same time. Alright, David, I am just here to tell you about this. Please stop pestering me. Goodbye. After Sarah said that, she turned around to leave. However, David stopped her. Sarah, listen to me. Leo is not a good person. Don't be fooled by him. Did he force you to do this? I'm sure he did. I'm going to look for him. Sarah flung David's hand away and said, David, stop lying to yourself and others. Leo didn't force me. I'm willing to do this. I don't want to be with you anymore. After we graduate, we'll have to work hard to make money so that we can buy a house, a car, and pay back our loans. We'll be tied to our housing loan forever. I want to eat good food, wear nice clothes, and use expensive things, do you understand? Do you see this bag on me? It's the latest one from L brand and it cost more than $10,000. I will never be able to enjoy this for the rest of my life if I stay with you. You will never be able to give me what Leo can give me. But Leo is just playing with you. He won't marry you. He's ditched countless people already. David tried hard one last time. Hey, Mr. David Liddell, it's not nice bad-mouthing someone behind their back. A voice entered both of their ears, and they turned to see Leo walking over, adorned in branded clothes. After this, he immediately reached out to grab Sarah's waist. Leo, you're here. Sarah leaned on Leo's body, appearing cute and helpless. When David saw Leo holding Sarah's waist the moment he arrived, and the way Sarah leaned on Leo, he felt as if his heart was bleeding. He knew nothing he said would work anymore. Once a woman had a change of heart, it would be difficult for her to turn back. He did not want to see them being lovey-dovey and sweet with each other. Hence, he said to Sarah, Sarah, one day, you'll regret the decision you made today. Then, he got ready to leave. Wait, Leo called out to David. Then, he turned around to say to Sarah, Sarah, you should leave first. I'll go get you after I exchange a few words with David. Leo, let's leave together. I've broken up with David, so there's nothing to talk about. Don't worry, it's just a few words. It won't affect our relationship. Alright, you should hurry. I'll wait for you at the entrance of the campus. After Sarah said that, she looked at the two of them before leaving. Just spit it out. If you want to see me being battered and bruised after the loss of my love, I'm afraid I'm going to have to disappoint you. There are so many girls out there and I won't keep pursuing the same one. Even though David's heart was bleeding, he still said this stubbornly. He could display his devastation and heartbreak in front of Sarah and lose all of his dignity, but he would never show Leo this side of him. David, I only want to tell you something. After Leo said that, he took 2 steps forward and whispered in David's ear, Sarah has such a hot body. You've been together for so long, I didn't expect you two to still be. Alright, I should go now. Sarah is still waiting for me and I've booked a presidential suite in Golden Leaf Hotel. Do you know that place? It's an 8-star hotel and you'll never be able to afford a meal there for the rest of your life. Leo turned around and left after he said that. As he was walking, he laughed carefreely. Ha ha ha. After David heard what Leo said, he felt dizzy. He had been with Sarah for 4 years, and throughout those years, they only held hands and kissed. Whenever David tried to do something more, Sarah would stop him. She said she would only give him the best thing after they were married. However, he did not expect Sarah to do it with Leo after a few days of being together. At this moment, David felt his blood rushing wildly to his brain and his eyes turn red. He could not control it anymore. A mouthful of blood sprayed out of his mouth and he passed out on the ground. When David woke up, he was in the university's infirmary. As he was about to get up, a voice sounded in his head. Ding, binding the super lavish system. 10%, 30%, 50%, 80%, 100%, binding complete. Then, a screen that only David could see appeared in front of his eyes. Host, David Liddell. Balance, $10 quadrillion. Body, 15 weak. Mind, 28 normal. Skills, can be added freely, needs to use up lavish points. Lavish points, 0. Before David could understand what was going on, he heard the sound in his head again. Welcome, host David Liddell, to the super lavish system. This system is a 1-to-1 single binding system and cannot be transferred. Once the host dies, the system will disappear. The host's balance is already bound to all the banks around the world and the host can use their fingerprints, face, or pupils to pay. How to use the system? The host, David Liddell, will obtain 1 lavish point after spending $100 million. The lavish point can be used to better the host's body, wits, skills, and also their skills. Rules. There is only one rule. The host is forbidden from negotiating the price of whatever the host wants to buy. A beggar who negotiates the price will not be worthy of the system. Chapter 2 I'm a Quadrillionaire. David was still contemplating the genuineness of this super lavish system when the door of the infirmary was pushed open. A beautiful woman in her 30s came in wearing a white coat. This was the doctor overseeing the university's infirmary. Her name was Christine Shelton, and she was 32 years old. She had been married for a few years and she did not have kids yet. Furthermore, her husband was the boss of a small company. However, it was rumored that her relationship with her husband was not good, and they were in the middle of filing for a divorce. It was rumored that in order to work with a much bigger company, Christine's husband asked her to drink with his clients. Furthermore, he even spiked her drink so that she would spend the night with the company's boss. Eventually, Christine found out beforehand and she ran back to the campus while he went to the restroom. Then, she stayed on the campus and never went home. Recently, she began looking for a lawyer to file for a divorce with her husband. You can leave now that you're awake. After you go back, remember to eat more food that will help with replenishing your energy and vitality. Your body is weak, and you can't let this go on. Be more optimistic. Don't let trivial things affect your mood. Christine saw David had opened his eyes in the bed and said to him. Thank you, Dr. Shelton. I got it. David got up and walked out of the infirmary shakily. He was still feeling a little dizzy right now. Sigh, are students nowadays so infatuated with love? Christine sighed sorrowfully. Then, she thought about her husband. When they were in university, they were also crazily in love with each other. However, he drugged her and did such a terrible thing for the sake of his company. If she did not find out in advance, she could not imagine what would happen to her. Until now, she still could not understand why he would do such a thing. As David was walking on campus, a lot of students were pointing at him and making remarks when they saw him. It was because he was famous now. There were a lot of couples getting together and breaking up at South River University, but this was the first time in history that a student vomited blood and passed out after breaking up. Moreover, with Leo deliberately telling everyone about the matter, David became famous in South River University in just half a day. However, David was not in the mood to care about this. After he walked out of campus, he felt thirsty, so he went to the vending machine next to the university to buy a bottle of water. When he was about to pay, David instinctively wanted to use the balance in his phone to pay. However, he suddenly remembered the binding of the super lavish system from earlier. Therefore, he decided to try it out to see whether it was legit. With that, he chose to pay with his fingerprints. Ding! The super lavish system successfully paid $3. A bottle of mineral water rolled out from the vending machine. It works. David grabbed the bottle of water in his hand and murmured. Then, David saw the information on the interface. Host: David Liddell. Balance: $9,999,999,999,999,997. Body: 15 weak. Mind: 28 normal. Skills: can be added freely, needs to use up lavish points. Lavish points: 0. Ha ha ha. David burst out laughing suddenly. The super lavish system was real. If that was the case, from now on, he would be richer than anyone else in the world. The richest man in the world. Pa, the world's billionaires by Forbes. Pa, all of you don't have as many zeros even with your wealth combined. From now on, I, David Liddell, will change the way I live. I've been living too aggrievedly for the past 20 years. Over the next few decades, I want to live my life brilliantly and enjoy my life. I want to live my life without a care in the world. I want to get back at all of the people who looked down on me. After David calmed down, he went to the 8-star hotel near the campus, Golden Leaf Hotel, and was about to have a meal. He was a bit lightheaded from hunger as he was walking. This was the most luxurious hotel in South River Province, and it was also the most expensive place around. When David and Sarah walked past this place back then, Sarah said she dreamed about having a meal there. "Sir, how can I help you?" After David walked through the door, a tall and fair attendant approached him. "I'm here to eat," David answered. "May I know how many of you are there?" The attendant asked politely. "Just me. Please come with me, sir." The attendant gestured to David. David thought the attendant would take him to the restaurant, but he did not think the attendant would take him to the front desk. "Sir, do you have a member card?" the receptionist at the front desk asked. There were a few of them behind the front desk. The receptionists looked like air stewardesses. They were about 170 centimeters and above, and they all had fair skin and long legs. "No, I don't," David answered. "Sir, I'm sorry, our food is all high quality and they're all imported from overseas. Plus, we dispose it if we can't finish them on the day itself to ensure freshness, and that's why the price of our food will be much higher than the ones outside. If you don't have a member card, you'll need to pay a certain deposit before you dine." "How can I get a member card?" "Sir, if you top up $1 million, you'll be a normal member in our hotel. If you top up 2 million, you'll be a premium member, and if you top up 5 million, you'll be a VIP. "I'll have one then." "Sir, may I know how much you want to top up?" "Why don't I top up 100 million first?" "Yes, sir, I beg your pardon. I didn't hear you clearly just now," the receptionist asked with a slight stammer. "I said top up 100 million for me." "Sir, are you sure?" "I am sure." "Sir, please wait a moment. Our manager is on the way now." Then, the receptionist took out a walkie-talkie and said, "Ms. Warner, are you around? Can you please come to the lobby?" The receptionist felt that David was here to cause trouble because he did not look like someone who would take out 100 million to top up his membership card. That was why she called the manager over. "Got it," a clear voice came from the walkie-talkie. Soon after, a beautiful woman in her 20s walked over while donning a black suit. This beautiful woman clearly seemed a rank higher than the rest of the receptionists no matter how David looked at her. It was no wonder she was the manager. "What's the matter?" The beautiful manager walked to the front desk and asked. The receptionist from earlier whispered into the manager's ear. "Sir, may I ask if you want to top up 100 million to your member card?" The beautiful manager asked David. "Yes," answered David. "Are you sure you want to top up $100 million? "I am sure." "Sir, may I know which bank you will be paying with?" The beautiful manager started to operate the computer at the front desk as she asked. "Whichever is fine. How are you going to pay?" "I'm using my fingerprint." "All right, sir, please confirm whether the amount is correct. Then, click confirm and place your finger here." The beautiful manager turned the computer to David to let him look at the amount. David looked at it and confirmed that it was 100 million. Then, he clicked confirm and placed his finger on the scanner. 3 seconds later, a machine at the front desk rang. Payment successful. Successfully received $100 million. In that second, the 6 to 7 tall receptionists, including the manager, took in sharp breaths. They changed from looking at David in disdain to admiration. It looked as if they wanted to swallow David whole. Chapter 3. Pearl Warner had been a lobby manager in this 8-star hotel for more than 3 years. She had seen a lot of rich people, and she had also seen a lot of them with a net worth of billions to tens of billions of dollars. After all, the people who could enter this place would at least be worth something. Even though they could refund the money in the membership card, and there were a lot of big conglomerates who would receive their guests here so they would top up to $10 million, this was the first time she had seen someone top up $100 million in one go. This person must have a net worth of tens of billions. If not, he would not have the courage to do this. Although the people on the world's billionaires were top-ranked celebrities who were worth tens of hundreds of billions, after Pearl got into this circle, she learned that there were many invisible rich people in this world. The ones on the world's billionaires list might not even make up 1% of the actual figure. Most of the rich people were very low-key, and this one in front of her was obviously one of them. Furthermore, he was definitely one of the richest ones. He was so young, so he was definitely the superb son of an invisible family. To be honest, when she first saw David, Pearl looked down on him. The clothes on his body might not even be worth $200 in total. There were so many people like that on the street. When the front desk said that David wanted to top up $100 million into his membership card, Pearl immediately figured David had to be here to pull a prank on them. However, because of her professionalism, she still cautiously entertained David and even let him pay. She even wanted to see how David would act when the payment failed. Besides, she was ready to call the security at any moment, but she did not expect the payment to go through. This showed that she really could not judge a book by its cover. Pearl had already got into contact with the upper class, and she yearned incessantly for that status. She even dreamed about becoming one of them. Even though a lot of nouveau riches hinted at her, Pearl was not interested in those chubby nouveau riches. Besides, most of them only wanted her body, and from what she knew, those people who hinted at her were not really rich. They were all tactless and impulsive fake nouveau riches. She hoped to be favored by a real nobleman. These people were mostly very low profile, and this young man in front of her was obviously one of the best among them. He did not even bat an eyelid when he topped up $100 million into his meal ticket. This person fit her requirements. He was young, rich, and low profile. So, she decided to depend on him and decided that this would be the best chance for her to turn her life around. She could not miss this chance. Furthermore, she was very confident in her own qualifications. Meanwhile, the receptionist who called the manager over with the walkie-talkie was feeling extremely remorseful now. If she proceeded with the order for David, this would be her business. However, after she called the manager over, she could only watch from the sidelines. After Pearl came back to her senses, she said to David, "Sir, please show us your identification card. I'll help you with the membership procedures." David handed his identification card to Pearl. To be honest, he could already see the other party was just being perfunctory. They did not even ask for his identification, so how would they register a membership for him? It was clear that they did not believe he would top up $100 million, since they only asked for his identification after the payment went through. However, David did not care. He had been looked down on for the past 20 years. Plus, the other party was pretty nice about it. If this was somewhere else, he might have already been kicked out by security. "I am a student from South River University. From this day on, I will be eating all 3 meals here. Prepare the best ingredient as per your professional standards for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If I don't show up, just throw it away and continue to prepare the next meal." After David said that, the people in the room became fearful. If they were to use the best ingredient for all 3 meals, just his meal alone would cost hundreds of thousands every day. Plus, they were supposed to just throw it away if he was busy and could not come. This was so extravagant, one could not even call him a nouveau riche. He was a god-tier billionaire. Moreover, he was even a student at South River University. He was so extravagant at such a young age, so was he set to become the legendary top-tier handsome and tall rich man. Everyone was starry-eyed when they looked at David. They all wanted to depend on this rich man. It would be fine even if they had to sacrifice something to do so. They did not have excessive expectations to marry a son of a top-tier rich family like this. However, they would get a lot of benefits if they were able to curry some favors with him. At this moment, if David gave out even a small hint, these people would probably line up to climb into his bed. All right, Mr. Liddell, we will do so according to your wishes. After the membership was done, David was brought into a luxurious private room. Mr. Liddell, this is the best private room in our hotel. We will bring you the food soon. This is my name card, so please call me if there's anything you need my help with. I will provide you with the best service. After Pearl said that, she handed her personal name card to David. This was not the official one from the hotel, but instead, she made this one herself and would only give them out to the people who fit her requirements. David took Pearl's name card. When he took the name card, Pearl seemed to accidentally use her fair and thin hand to run across the back of David's hand, causing shivers to run down David's spine. What a soft hand. This woman is so good at seducing others. What a minx, David thought in his heart. Soon, the table was filled with food. All of the world's best food was here. There were lobsters, abalone, Alaskan king crab, bird's nest, tomahawk, foie gras, jamon, caviar, and so on. Every one of those dishes looked amazing and appetizing. There was also a law fight from 1983. All of these cost approximately over $1 million. David could not eat all of it, but he did not care. Now, he was so poor that money was all he had. If he could not finish them, he would just throw them away. He had all the money in the world. David took a bite of everything on the table. It was an 8-star hotel indeed, as everything smelled, looked, and tasted great. Mr. Liddell, how's the food? Are you happy with them? Pearl went behind David and asked while bowing slightly. Since they were at a close distance, David could feel Pearl's hot breath on the nape of his neck. It felt nice. Pretty good. This place lives up to its reputation of an 8-star hotel. Everything smells, tastes, and looks great. I am very happy. That's great, Mrs. Liddell. Please enjoy your meal and don't hesitate to call out to me if there's anything you need. I won't disturb your meal anymore. Pearl decided to leave when she thought it was almost time. Ms. Warner, look, I can't finish all of the food and I keep feeling like something's missing if I don't have a beautiful woman accompanying me as I enjoy such good food. Will you do me the honor of dining with me? David asked. David truly felt that Pearl was not bad. She had a hot body and a cute face, plus, her outfit accentuated her natural advantages. Her scent could also arouse a man's hormones. Any of her unintentional gestures would tickle his senses. Hence, it would be the ultimate pleasure to dine with such beauty. Mr. Liddell, this is not appropriate. Plus, it's working hours for me, Pearl said hesitantly. She wanted to eat with David because this would be a chance to strengthen their bond, and she would honestly kill for a chance like this. Even though she was a lobby manager, she had never eaten a lot of this premium food before. However, she understood that a woman should be reserved, and could not reveal herself fully. Hence, keeping her distance would be the best way to flirt with him. The seduction of a fully naked woman was never as great as a woman wearing a see-through shirt. Her working hours was just an excuse. The boss would even praise her if they knew she was dining with a VIP of this status. Besides, she did not decline. She only said it was inappropriate, and this answer would trigger David's competitiveness. Sure enough, David spoke. What's inappropriate about this? Come to me if your boss scolds you and I'll go to him. If it doesn't work, I'll buy the hotel and make you the boss, David said arrogantly. Then, I will accept your request. Pearl stopped being reserved and immediately sat down to open the wine for David. If she continued to make excuses, she might enrage David, so she had to handle this situation just right. As for what David said about buying the hotel and making her the boss, she only smiled and thought nothing of it. What a joke. This hotel would cost more than $15 billion if he wanted to buy it. Even though she had high hopes for David, she did not think David had this ability. Now, there were a lot of people with net worths of billions, tens of billions, or even hundreds of billions. However, most of them obtained their wealth from stocks or other virtual items. There were not a lot of people who could directly take out tens of billions of dollars with a wave of their hand. Those people were the real aristocrats. If David really bought Golden Leaf Hotel and made her the boss, she would be hell-bent on staying with David. She would even die for him. David did not know what Pearl was thinking at this time. If not, he would buy it directly. This was nothing. He would buy it even if it was 30 billion, let alone 15 billion. After this, the two of them finished this meal while chatting happily. Chapter 4. After David finished his meal and was walking out of the 8-star hotel, he looked at the hotel entrance behind him. Pearl and a few attendants were sending him off while bowing. At that moment, David felt that the world was truly wonderful. Who is Sarah Jensen anyway? If I am willing, I can have a harem right now. What should he do next? Of course, he should buy a house. David did not want to stay in the dormitory anymore. There were 4 boys in one room, but now, only 2 of them were actively staying there. The other 2 were renting a place outside of campus with their girlfriends. Moreover, he heard his remaining roommate was also madly in love with his girlfriend and was also planning to move out. David initially wanted to rent a house with Sarah outside of campus, but Sarah refused no matter what he said. When he thought about Sarah sleeping with Leo, David felt a pang of pain in his heart. I should have just used force back then. I let that punk gain all the advantages now, David cursed in his heart. At this moment, David's crappy second-hand phone rang. He took a look at the caller ID and saw that it was from his roommate, Patrick Reed. Even though he had moved out to live a simple life with his girlfriend, he and David were still very close since they had stayed together for more than a year. Besides, the rent for the dormitory and the tuition fees were bound together. Even though he did not stay in the campus dormitories, he had already paid the rent, thus nobody took up his spot in the room, so he would occasionally go back to their dormitory to play games. David answered the phone. Dave, where are you? The 3 of us are in the infirmary, but Dr. Shelton said you left. I heard what happened to you. Don't do anything stupid, keep an open mind. Out with the old, in with the new. When you feel better, we'll host a blind date to find a better person for you. Patrick's anxious voice came from the other end of the phone. David felt comfort when he heard that. He replied, Pat, what are you thinking? Why would I do something so stupid? Don't worry, I'll come back soon. You sure? I'm sure. Tell me where you are now. We'll come to find you. Don't, I'm already home. Don't worry, I'll be back in 2 to 3 days. Really? Yes, really, it's good for you to go back and relax. Think about your family who loves you and us 3. Alright, I'm not that stupid. Don't worry, I'm hanging up now. South River International Residence. The houses here were the most expensive in South River Province. The average price per square meter started from $200,000. Of course, this place was also in the prime location. The entire South River International Residence was surrounded by the River Leads. There was only one exit, while the remaining 3 sides were all facing the river. Hence, the view was spectacular. There were only 6 buildings here, and each of them was 38 stories tall. The smallest unit would be 200 square meters while the biggest one would be more than 1,000 square meters. This was truly the gathering place of the riches. Luxury cars were parked everywhere in the parking lot, and one would be too embarrassed to drive their cars that cost less than millions inside. David walked into the showroom of South River International Residence. When he entered the lobby, it seemed a little empty. 5 to 6 salesladies were sitting together while they chatted. When they saw David, none of them wanted to approach him. The South River International Residence had been selling for 3 years, and yet there were still unsold units because it was too expensive. A small unit would cost tens of millions, so not everyone could afford to buy it. When it started selling, a lot of people came to view the houses. The ones who could afford to buy all of them bought them in the past 2 years. The ones who could not afford them still could not afford them until now. So, most of the staff who worked here since the start of the sale had already left. A lot of the sales ladies left with millions in their pockets. After all, a unit would cost tens of millions or even hundreds of billions. They would be able to make a fortune with the commission alone. Back then, the commissions would be 2/1000, and now, the new staff's commission had increased to 1%. However, by now, it was very difficult to sell any of the units. Thus, a lot of them only worked here because they were guaranteed a basic salary. When they saw David, they could tell he was not here to buy a house based on his outfit. So, everyone continued to chat. They did not plan to pay attention to him. David felt a little awkward at this moment. The people chatting were clearly ignoring him, and there was no one at the front desk. So, he did not know who to ask even if he had questions. However, after David stood there for 2 to 3 minutes, a young woman about 26 to 27 years old walked out from the toilet of the showroom. Jenny Ward started selling for South River International residents last month. She only got in because her uncle gifted the boss $10,000 worth of gifts. She was from a small rural area. She thought she would make a fortune if she could come to such a high-end place to sell houses. However, after a month of working here, she did not even get a single customer. She could count the number of customers coming to view the houses over the past month on two hands. When the customers entered the door, the old staff would fight to welcome them. They did not give her any chance at all. Hence, she did not sell a single house after more than a month of working here. Today, she spotted a young man about her age standing in the lobby the moment she walked out of the toilet. Those old staff seemed to be ignoring him, so she walked over to him. "Sir, are you here to view the houses?" Jenny walked to David and asked. "Yes," David answered. Jenny was thrilled. Finally, she had a chance to bring a customer to view the house. "What type of unit are you interested in, sir? What type do you have?" Then, Jenny proceeded to tell David a bunch of information about the houses. There were not a lot of empty units left. So, David did not have a lot of choices. In the end, David chose a 500 square meter penthouse on the 22nd floor of Block 3. Jenny took the keys from the front desk and then they went to view the unit. The moment the two left, the staff in the lobby began talking about them. "He's seriously here to view the unit? He seems to be wearing cheap clothes and he looks like a pauper to me. Does he know where he is? Yes, he needs to work hard his whole life to afford 1 square meter. Only a newbie like Jenny would take him to view the unit. Isn't this a waste of time? He might be from a rural area and has no idea about the price of a house here. When he learns the price, he might be scared ****, haha. Yeah, let's wait and watch him make a fool of himself later." 2 hours later, David and Jenny went back to the lobby of the showroom. The two sat in the chairs on the side of the lobby. Then, Jenny brought David a cup of tea. "Mr. Liddell, are you satisfied with what you saw?" Jenny asked as she sat down opposite David. "Not really. The location of Block 3 is not that great. Are there units in Block 1? David figured the location of Block 1 was the best. Since he wanted to buy a place, he would buy the best one. He had all the money in the world anyway. "Please wait a moment, Mr. Liddell. Let me check for you." Jenny picked up the tablet and started looking for David. "Mr. Liddell, since the location of Block 1 is the best, there's only one unit left. It's on the top floor and it's a large loft-style penthouse. It occupies the 37th and 38th floors of Block 1, and it's the best unit in Block 1. The total area is 1,300 square meters, so it's a little costly. I don't recommend you taking this unit." "Oh, can we look at that?" David did not even ask the price and he immediately wanted to see the unit. "Yes, but, all right then, let's go," David interrupted. Jenny contemplated and answered, "All right, Mr. Liddell. I'll go get the keys." After Jenny got the keys and the two were about to go to view the unit, an old staff member in her 30s who still looked very attractive spoke from afar. "Jenny, are you going to look at the best unit in Block 1? She was closer to the duo, so she heard their conversation. "Yes, Ms. James. Jenny, I don't want to criticize you, but not everyone who drops by can view the units here, let alone the best one in Block 1. The interior of the unit was designed by a very famous designer from overseas. Who's going to pay for it if there's any damage? Ms. James, I'll be very careful. Jenny, you're new so you don't know the rules here. You need a good eye if you want to work in this field. Look at him, do you think he looks like someone who can afford a unit here?" Ms. James pointed directly at David and said, "Ms. James, I trust that Mr. Liddell is not someone like that. Sigh, it's fine if you don't want to listen to me. However, you have to mop the floor after you come out. Don't leave any footprints, understand?" "I understand, Ms. James." After Jenny said that, she led David to the best unit in Block 1. Chapter 5. The moment they stepped through the door, David was stunned. There was no doubt, this was the best unit as the decorations and design were all extremely luxurious. David walked to the French window that was 3 meters high and more than 10 meters wide. As he looked out at the scenery in front of him, he felt like he was on top of the world. "Mr. Liddell, this is the best unit in Block 1. The glass on the French window in front of you is bulletproof glass imported from overseas. It's 10 centimeters thick and it won't break even if someone shoots a guided missile at it. Plus, the opacity is very low, so it won't affect the sunlight at all. This window alone is over $10 million. Also, the spectacular chandelier above you is imported from France. There are more than 10 colors which you can change from. This is the kitchen. This is the study. This is the wine cellar. This is the toilet. This is the drawing room. This is the entertainment room. Then, the two went to the 28th floor. There's an indoor swimming pool here. They will change the water according to the schedule every morning. Plus, the water they replace it with is germ-free water that's been filtered. You can even directly drink it. After Jenny said that, she even scooped out some water to drink. The reason she did that was to make David believe that this water was very clean. An hour had passed by the time the two of them were done. After they walked out of the unit, Jenny said to David, "Mr. Liddell, you should go back to the showroom and rest for a while. I'll be back after I mop the floor." Then, Jenny picked up a cloth to mop the floor. "No need, I'm taking the unit." When Jenny heard what David said, her hand shook. Mr. Liddell, what did you say?" "I said there's no need, I'm taking the unit." "Really?" "Of course," David answered affirmatively. "Thank you, Mr. Liddell, shall we get on with the procedures?" Jenny asked excitedly. "All right." The two of them went back to the showroom again. Jenny felt as if she was in a dream as they were walking. David wanted to buy this unit. Just now, she did a little calculation. This unit's total price was $398 million and she could get a commission of $3.98 million. She had never seen so much money in her whole life. This amount was enough for her to buy 10 houses in her county. In truth, only a person who came from a rural place who had just joined the sales team like Jenny would believe David. If it were someone else, they would never believe that David could afford this unit. He looked like a beggar, yet he claimed to have $400 million for a house. They would never believe it, so of course, they would not take David to view the unit. When they were back in the showroom, Jenny was busy preparing the contract. Then, she called the manager and the manager brought the person in charge of finance over. By the time everything was done, it was already evening. However, none of the staff in the showroom left. They could not believe that Jenny had sold the best unit in Block 1. They had to accept the truth after David paid. At the same time, their hearts were bleeding. It was $4 million. $4 million. David had been standing in the lobby for a few minutes and no one went to serve him. If any of them had approached him at that moment, the money would belong to one of them. The woman named Ms. James wanted to slap herself right now. $4 million. Last year, she sold a unit worth $800,000, and to do that, she had to spend a whole month with a nouveau riche with a beer belly before he agreed to sign. She had to suffer for a whole month only to make $800,000. Just now, Jenny only used half a day to make $4 million. She wanted to vomit blood right now. After David walked out of South River International Residence, she called Pearl. Then, he spent more than $10,000 to buy a new phone after he ate dinner at the hotel. At the same time, he threw his second-hand phone into the trash. After that, he went back to the top floor of Block 1 in South River International Residence. This place was already David's house, and figured that he would stay here for a very long time. He called his tutor at the university to ask for a few days of sick leave. The news about David vomiting blood and going into shock had spread throughout the campus, so his tutor would naturally know about it. Hence, his tutor did not cause any trouble for him. David did not want to go to class these 2 days anyway. There would surely be a lot of people making fun of him if he did. "I'll buy a luxury car tomorrow and drive it back to campus. I want to see who dares to laugh at me then. Sarah, you gave up our 3-year relationship for a bag that cost $10,000. I want to see if you regret it when I drive a car worth tens of millions back to campus. F***CKU. As he lay down on the imported leather sofa, he felt that the life of a rich person was so comfortable. David looked at the interface in front of him. Host: David Liddell. Balance: $9,999,999,501,986,412. Body: 15 weak plus. Mind: 28 normal plus. Skills: can be added freely, needs to use up lavish points plus. Lavish points: 4. There were plus signs behind his body, mind, and skills. Plus, he already had 4 lavish points. David did not hesitate to add all 4 lavish points to his body. Then, the 15 on his body immediately turned into 19. At that moment, David felt his body warming up. His body was weak and had a lack of energy because he was malnourished for the past years, but now, he could feel that he was changing for the better. He felt he was more energetic now. When he looked at his body, he looked stronger as well. So this is what happens. If I add a dozen lavish points on my body, won't I become more powerful than Olympic champions? In that second, David felt that his life was so brilliant. He took out his phone and looked at Instagram. There were 2 follow requests. One was from Pearl and the other one was from Jenny. David accepted both of them. Soon after, Pearl sent him a message. Pearl: David, darling, are you asleep? David: not yet. Is there anything I can help you with? Pearl: can't I send you a message if I don't need anything? David: of course, you can. I'm more than happy to receive a message from you, Miss Pearl. Pearl: you're so sweet, honey. I have a day off on Sunday, are you free then? I want to ask you out for a swim. After David read the message, the image of Pearl wearing a bikini appeared in his head. Then, his body started to heat up. Damn, she's blatantly seducing me. How would he resist such seduction from a beautiful and fair woman with long legs? In the end, David realized that he could not. So, he replied. David: I am free. How would I not be free for Miss Pearl's invitation? Pearl: all right, see you on Sunday. David: okay, Miss Pearl. Pearl: good night, darling. David: good night, Miss Pearl. David was hoping that Sunday would come fast. After scrolling Instagram for a little longer, David felt bored. His social circle was small, so he only had some friends he was okay with on his Instagram. These were his classmates from junior high, senior high, and university. Their group chat was pretty lively too, but David rarely talked there. In addition to this, there were some of his relatives. Sometimes, his roommates would message him to check up on him. David's parents died in an accident before he was even 10 years old. Therefore, he stayed with his second uncle before he started senior high. Back then, his 3 uncles fought relentlessly for custody over him. At that moment, his second uncle and aunt were extremely good to him, so David thought he would have a good life with his second uncle even though his parents were not around. Eventually, he chose his second uncle. In the end, when his second uncle got custody of him, David's life became a living hell. He was always beaten and scolded, plus, he was forced to also eat others' leftovers. That was why he was very malnourished. When he finally understood what was happening, he realized that they were not fighting for custody over him. Instead, they were fighting for the compensation worth about $2 million from his parents. When David started high school at 16, his second uncle never gave him a penny. If his aunts did not help him out, David would have dropped out of school. Initially, the $2 million compensation was to be given to David when he turned 18, but he had not seen a single cent until this day. Because of this, his aunts and uncles fought a lot with his second uncle and second aunt. However, what could they do? The money was with them, and his second aunt even claimed that she spent the money on David throughout the years. David did the math in his heart. He figured they did not even spend over $5,000 on him during all these years he had stayed with them. Basically, it was spent on some essential tuition fees when he was going to junior high and perhaps 1 or 2 clothes from the thrift store every year. Chapter 6. After David closed Instagram, he opened TikTok. When he was bored, he liked to scroll through TikTok. When he saw that the streamer he followed, Sherry, was streaming, he quickly clicked to join the stream. Sherry was a streamer that David followed a long time ago on TikTok. He followed her since she first started streaming, which was about a year ago. David could be regarded as her first batch of fans. She started from having a few fans to having 50,000 fans now. Moreover, she went from having a few people, to a few dozen people, and now 200 to 300 people in her streams. However, David never gifted her anything. He only liked her voice and enjoyed listening to her sing. In truth, Sherry had the potential to become a star, but she only streamed her voice and not her face. This kind of stream would not attract the attention of the big shots because of the harsh reality. How many of them were here for music? Most of them were here to look at pretty girls. Thus, even if her voice was sweet and she was good at singing, she was still a small-time streamer. She was not very popular and was not one of the big stars. Because of what happened with Sarah, David had not watched Sherry's stream in a month. The moment he entered the stream, David heard the familiar voice singing, "Unbreak my heart. Unbreak my heart. Say you'll love me again. Undo this hurt you caused. When you walked out the door. And out of my life. When David heard this song, tears welled up in his eyes. A petty and low love would not have a good ending. A simping fool would get nothing in the end. After Sherry finished singing, she received a lot of gifts in her stream. However, those were all small gifts that cost a few dollars or just over $10. She did not receive any gifts worth more than $100. However, Sherry still thanked them by name one by one. She was just a small streamer, so it was already great to have someone sending her gifts. Thank you for the gift, Mr. Rain. Thank you for the gift, Mr. Tall Mountain. Thank you for the first, Miss Love. David figured that since he did not lack money, he should buy some gifts for the streamer he liked. With that, he decided to top up some money in his online wallet and topped up 10 million at one go. Then, he started buying gifts for Sherry. He immediately bought the most expensive one, the World Star. Sherry was still thanking the viewers who sent her gifts. She would receive a few hundred gifts after streaming for a few hours every day. She could often get 1 to 300 after that and was already very happy about it. It was not that she did not want to show her face, but she was in her university's dormitory, so it was inconvenient for her to do so. She had 3 roommates staying with her and they were dressed very casually since they were in their dorm. Plus, she was studying music and she did not want others to give her gifts because they liked her face. Instead, she hoped they only bought her gifts because they liked her voice. Big shots would message her saying that they wanted to meet her. They also said they would push her up the list of popular streamers, but she constantly rejected them. She felt like this was like a transaction. Even though she needed money, she did not want to do this kind of this. Suddenly, she saw a flash across her stream. Is this the effect of World Star? She had been streaming for over a year and she had never received a World Star. However, she had seen it in other people's streams. A World Star cost $2,000 and she normally needed to stream for a whole week to make $2,000, but now someone was giving her a World Star. Sherry could not yet see who was the one giving her a World Star when she saw another flash. A third one, a fourth one. The effect of the World Star kept appearing in Sherry's stream. Lil Match gave streamer Sherry World Star X10. Lil Match gave streamer Sherry World Star X11. Lil Match gave streamer Sherry World Star X66. If someone gifted a streamer over 66 World Stars, not only would it fill the stream, it would also be broadcast all over TikTok. In an instant, a message saying that there was a nouveau riche in Sherry's stream appeared in other streams. Damn, a nouveau riche appeared in a nameless stream. I need to see this. Wait for me, I'm going to. Viewers poured into Sherry's stream immediately. The number of viewers increased from 200 to 1,000 plus, and the number kept increasing. Thank you for the World Stars, Mr. Lil Match. I'm so grateful. Kisses. Sherry loves you. Sherry was so excited she did not know what to say. However, the effect never seemed to stop. Lil Match gave streamer Sherry World Star X666. Lil Match gave streamer Sherry World Star X999. Lil Match gave streamer Sherry World Star X1314. Finally, David stopped at 1314 World Stars, and it was also because he was tired. Meanwhile, Sherry's stream blew up. There were now 100,000 people in her stream. F***ck me, Lil Match is such a baller. Lil Match is so formidable. Lil Match, my man, do you still need footmen? Sherry was a little stunned. How much was 1314 World Stars? If this was converted into money, it would be more than 2.6 million. If she got half of it, it would be 1.3 million. She looked at the person who sent her the gifts and saw it was a person named Lil Match. He had been following her since a long time ago, but he had never given her anything. She did not expect him to give her so much today. So, Sherry quickly privately messaged him. Sherry, thank you for the gifts, cutie. Can I follow you on Instagram? When David saw Sherry's message, he sent her his username. After a while, Sherry followed him. Sherry, thank you for the gifts, cutie. David, you're welcome. I've been listening to you singing for so long and I've never sent you anything. I feel bad, so I make up for all the times I didn't give you anything in one go. Sherry, thank you for the support, cutie. If I have time, I'll sing for you privately. My name is Claire Potter. What about you? David, I'm David Liddell. The two talked about some random things while Claire kept on thanking David the whole time. David walked to the French window that was 3 meters tall to look at the night view of River Leeds outside the window. It was bustling, and yet, very charming and beautiful. Then, he used his phone to snap a few pictures of the night view and posted them on his Instagram. His caption, "The night view on River Leeds is still so charming." David rarely posted on his Instagram. However, he was in a great mood today, so he could not help it. After he posted the pictures, David was a little tired, so he lay on the luxurious bed that was 4 meters wide and fell asleep. David had fallen asleep, but the people on TikTok could not. Especially those popular streamers. Even though they were popular and the top 3 would make up to millions of dollars in a single stream, it was the guilds who gave them the money, while the streamers would not get a single cent. In reality, the streamers had to make money from the dummies that were not from any guilds who would send them money. Just now, someone gifted a small streamer with more than 2.6 million in her stream. Plus, a small streamer like that would not have guilds to back her up. So, the person who bought her those gifts was definitely a big shot. Why did they not get such a gigantic money bag? With that, those popular streamers started to look into Sherry's streams, trying to see if they could get that big shot to join their side. Chapter 7. Claire was lying in bed in her dormitory and she could not sleep. Tonight, her 3 roommates went on a blind date with the boys from the male dormitory. She found an excuse and said she was not feeling well, so she did not have to go. In reality, she did not join this kind of activity. After all, her family background was not as good as the other 3. Her family had basically used every penny they had to send her to music school. Sometimes, she would still go because she could not find an excuse to say no. Right now, she was glad that she did not go. If not, she would have missed out on this big shot's gifts. He directly gave her 2.6 million. Even those popular streamers rarely encountered situations like this, let alone a small streamer like her. Before she ended her stream, there were people from guilds contacting her. They said they wanted to partner with her and they would help her go up the ranks. They even said they would contact 2 popular streamers to collaborate with her so that Lil Match would be triggered. With his generosity, he might even give them tens of millions. The guild knew the temper of this big shot. What did big shots care about the most? Their reputations, of course. They could not embarrass themselves in front of their favorite streamers. As long as they could target this weak spot, then this big shot would keep giving out gifts. Of course, the guilds boosted streamers on the rankings to scam the gullible. Claire would not get a penny of this, and might only get a percentage of the money the gullible gave her. However, Claire rejected them. She did not want to scam David out of his money like this. Finally, she was even threatened. The other party told her that they would make her lose her job as a streamer. Claire did not know if she would regret her decision. Plus, she also did not know if this was just a spur-of-the-moment thing for David. Besides, she needed to think about how she could appropriately improve her family's living conditions with this over $1 million she got from the donation, which was what she was allotted. Because of all this, it was all but destined that she would lose sleep tonight. In the meantime, David's Instagram was blowing up. The photo of River Leeds that David posted had gotten more than 100 comments. He managed to get a really good angle, so it was clear that he took this photo from a unit above the 30th floor in South River International Residence. Where was South River International Residence? It was the most expensive property in South River Province. 1 square meter would cost $200,000 minimum, so a small unit would cost $50 million at least. And David just posted a photo taken from here. Comment 1. David, where did you steal this photo from? The angle is superb. Comment 2. Dave, are you working as a part-time cleaner here? Can you refer me to that job? Maybe I can make some nouveau riche friends there. Comment 3. Dave, are you a sugar baby to a rich woman? Do you still have any contacts? I don't want to work hard anymore. There were all kinds of comments, but no one asked David whether he bought a unit there. It was already late morning when David woke up the next day. After he washed up, he walked to the window and looked out at the scenery of the River Leeds. David still felt as if he was dreaming. What should I do today? Right, I'm going to buy a car. Suddenly, David remembered that he still did not know how to drive. What should I do then? Should I find a driver? Having a driver is not as fun as driving the car myself. Plus, do I even need a driver if I'm buying a sports car? Isn't that such a colossal joke? If he went to get a driver's license now, he would only get it in at least 1 month. David felt that he could not wait another month. Then, David remembered that there was a skill column in the system and he could add whatever skill he wanted freely. So, David pulled up the interface. He had another lavish point. Since he topped up 10 million on TikTok last night, he had spent a total of 500 million now. Hence, he had another lavish point. David clicked the plus sign behind the skill column and entered, driving. Then, the system started loading. A few seconds later, David felt that his brain had suddenly been filled with knowledge, and it was all about driving. He knew where the brake was, where the accelerator was, and where the clutch was. He also knew how to start the car, how to change gears, how to turn, and how to reverse the car. It felt as if he had driven a car before, and it all felt so real. David was excited. This system was amazing. Right now, he wanted badly to have a car in front of him so he could try it out. After he left his home, he walked to the Golden Leaf Hotel. When he was at the door, Pearl came to welcome him. "Mr. Liddell, breakfast is ready. Please come with him." David figured that Pearl was very professional because she knew to behave within the norms. Last night, she was calling him darling on Instagram and it felt so intimate. Yet, today, it was Mr. Liddell. David figured it was good for her to have a clear distinction between her work and private life. After breakfast, Pearl purposely got close to David when they were walking out of the hotel. She whispered in his ear, "David, darling, don't forget our appointment." The beautiful woman's breath landed on David's ear, and it turned him into jelly. He cursed silently in his heart, "You minx." David spent another hundred of thousands to change his outfit. As the saying went, apparel made a man. After David changed out of his cheap clothes into branded clothes, his appearance changed beyond recognition. Plus, he also added 4 lavish points to his body last night. He looked more refreshed now, and seemed completely different from yesterday. He looked like the son from a rich family. If he wore this to the showroom, he would not be ignored for a few minutes in the lobby. After he changed his clothes, he walked to a Benz specialty shop. He had his eyes on a Benz G-Class the moment he went there. After he paid, he drove away immediately. Since he changed his outfit, none of the salespeople looked down on him and then got a slap in the face when he swiped his card to pay. David did not feel awkward driving the brand new Benz G-Class. At that moment, he felt that the system was truly amazing. However, he had a question. He knew how to drive, but he did not have a license. How would he get one? It seemed that no one around him had this ability. Pearl. David figured that Pearl might know how to get him one. After all, she was a lobby manager in an 8-star hotel, so she should know a lot of powerful people. Hence, he drove to the entrance of Golden Leaf Hotel and called Pearl. "Darling, you're missing little old me." Pearl's charming voice came from the other end of the phone. "Miss Pearl, I need your help," David said, going straight to the point. "What can I help you with? Just tell me, I will do it as long as I can. Can you come out for a chat? I'm outside the hotel in a new Benz G-Class on the left. The one without the license plate." "Alright, darling, wait for me, I'm coming." In less than 5 minutes of Pearl hanging up the phone, she appeared outside David's car. Pearl asked after she got into the passenger's seat, "How can I help you?" "I want to get a driver's license." "Do you know anyone who can do that?" "Money's not a problem," David said directly. "Driver's license?" Pearl was curious. How would a super rich child like David not have a driver's license at this age? However, since he did not say anything, she did not ask. "This shouldn't be hard. When do you want it?" Pearl asked. "As soon as possible. Give me your identification card. I'll snap a picture of it." "All right." David took out his identification card and handed it to Pearl. After Pearl took it, he snapped a picture of it before sending it to someone. Then, she made a call. "Hello, girl, I've sent you a picture of an identification card. Can you ask your husband to get a driver's license for me as soon as possible?" "All right, okay, I got it. Thanks, girl, thank your husband for me too." Pearl hung up and told David, "The soonest you can get it is this afternoon." "All right, thanks, Miss Pearl. How much is it? I'll transfer it to you." "Don't talk about money. Since you're showing me so much respect by calling me Miss Pearl, then don't be so courteous with me." "All right, are you free then? Go to a place with me." David stopped being courteous. "I'll make time even if I'm not free if you're the one asking." "All right, sit tight, let's go." David started the car and left Golden Leaf Hotel. Chapter 8. David brought Pearl to a Porsche dealership. When the two of them walked through the door, a beautiful saleslady walked over to them. She spotted the two of them got out of a Benz G-Class, and judging from what David was wearing, he looked like a rich kid. Thus, she asked enthusiastically, "Sir, miss, are you here to buy a car?" "Yes," David replied. "May I know what model you're looking for? Do you have stock for the Porsche 911? We do. Take us to have a look. Please come with me, sir." The beautiful saleslady brought them to a Porsche 911. "We have two of them right now, one in red and one in black. May I know which one you want to look at, sir?" David scanned the cars nonchalantly and answered, "I want the red one. Get me the invoice now." Huh, the beautiful saleslady was stunned. He did not even look at it and was buying it. He was so rich that it was insane. "Sir, are you not going to take a look at it first?" "I did. The red one is pretty nice." The beautiful saleslady had been working here for so long and this was the first time she was seeing someone buying a car like this. He only glanced at the exterior. He did not even look inside before asking for the invoice. "All right, sir, please come with me." Then, the saleslady led the duo to the front desk and started telling David the performance of the car. "Sir, this red Porsche 911 is the latest sports car with the highest specs. It is equipped with a 6-cylinder flat twin turbocharged engine." Before she could finish, David interrupted her, "All right, enough. No need to say anything more. Just tell me how much it is. May I know what setting you want? Just get me the best one." "All right, please wait, I'll calculate it for you." 2 minutes later, "Sir, the total is $3.28 million. After he paid, David and Pearl sat on the sofa to wait for the staff to go through the procedures. Pearl figured since David came to buy a car, he should want her to drive the car for him. After all, he could not drive two cars back on his own. Even though she did not know why he chose red, she still suggested, "Darling, I don't think red suits you. Why not the black one?" "I think the black one suits you more." "It's not for me, it's for you. I think the red one suits your temperament, Miss Pearl," David answered with a grin. "For me, darling, are you joking?" Pearl asked in shock. "Do I look like I'm joking? This is for you." "No way, this is too expensive. I can't accept this." Pearl quickly rejected. "Miss Pearl, since you're calling me your darling, you shouldn't be so modest with me. You also know this money means nothing to me. It's just a meal or two. If you reject this, then can we still have fun together in the future?" All right, thank you, my dear David." Pearl was ecstatic. She was currently driving a $100,000 car, while her annual salary was only $500,000 or $600,000. Her rent every month, her clothes, and her makeup would take up half of her pay. Furthermore, she still had a little brother who had just graduated and was still unemployed, so she would send all of her remaining money back home. Thus, even if she looked beautiful and polished outside, she did not have a lot of savings. She could never afford a luxury car like this also. Besides, any woman would like a red Porsche 911. The beautiful saleslady walked behind them and heard their conversation. Right now, she was looking at Pearl with envy. She also wanted someone who was as extravagant as David, who could give her a luxury car worth more than $3 million without batting an eyelid. "Sir, please give me your identification card or your identification number. We'll help you apply for insurance and register for it." "We'll just use yours, Miss Pearl." David looked at Pearl and said, "David, this isn't appropriate, right?" Even though David was buying this car for her, Pearl thought David would only let her drive it around. She did not think he would register the car under her name. If that was the case, the car would belong to her. At this moment, Pearl was a little lightheaded from this sudden surprise. "Didn't I say I'll buy it for you? Do you think I'm joking?" "Well, okay then, darling, thank you so much." Pearl handed her identification card to the beautiful saleslady. About 10 minutes later, the beautiful saleslady walked over again. "Sir, it's done. This is the key and the document. You can drive it away now. Miss Pearl, take it. Let's go." After David said that, he got up to leave. When Pearl got the document and key, she went over to the car. The two cars drove on the road next to each other. Not long after, David, who was in front, received a call from Pearl. "Darling, where are we going now? Should we go back to the hotel for lunch now? But I'm not that hungry." "I'm not either," replied Pearl. "Do you want to go to my house?" David asked. Okay, the two of them drove to South River International Residence. After they parked the cars, they walked to Block 1. Of course, Pearl had heard about South River International Residence. Plus, it was near to her work, so whenever she walked past this place, she would look at this place with envy. She could only dream about owning a house here. Even though this dream was very far away, it would be good enough to come in to have a look. When they got into the elevator of Block 1, they went straight to the 27th floor. Even though Pearl was mentally prepared before she walked in, she was still stunned by the extravagance in front of her. There was a brilliant chandelier above her and one of the walls of the lobby had been into a huge French window facing River Leads. Furthermore, the sofa, the television, and the painting were all incredibly luxurious. Pearl would be willing to lose 10 years of her life just to live in such an extravagant house. Please sit, David asked Pearl to sit before pouring her a glass of water. David, darling, your house is so beautiful. River Leads at night must be very beautiful from this angle, right? Pearl asked while pointing at the French window. It's fine, you can come anytime you want if you want to look at it. Really? Pearl asked in disbelief. Of course. Right, where are you from, Miss Pearl? I'm from Cloud City. I've been working in River City for 3 to 4 years. Have you bought a house here yet? Not yet. The housing prices here are so expensive. I don't even know when I can afford it, Pearl sighed ruefully. I think you should be able to get a mortgage on a house in River City with your salary, right, Miss Pearl? David asked curiously. Actually, my salary is not that high, and I still need to take care of my parents and little brother. I need to pay rent, and my clothes and makeup are not cheap, so that's why I can't save much money, Pearl said in a sad voice. Chapter 9. Do you want to move in with me then? I can't stay in such a big house by myself. This way, you can even save on rent. David did not know why he said that. Rationally, he had only known Pearl for 2 days and it was so sudden for him to invite her to stay with him. However, since he said it, he still felt a little longing in his heart. Actually, David did not know how petty and low he was when he was with Sarah. He would always listen to Sarah, and he rarely had the right to speak. However, it was different with Pearl. Pearl would let him make the decision when they were talking or going on about something, and she would also ask him for his advice about anything. Of course, all men would have some machismo. Who would not want a woman who would treat them like a leader? Therefore, David was fond of Pearl's way of talking and behaving, and subconsciously liked being around Pearl. Is this appropriate? Pearl asked, a little hesitant. Even though she was saying that, she was very excited. If she moved here, she would be depending on a powerful person like David. As for whether David would do something inappropriate to her, she did not care. She was even deliberately seducing David. Pearl was an ambitious person. She was always the most beautiful girl in her high school and her university. There were a lot of people pursuing her, and among them were some of the most handsome boys in school or even some rich kids with money and power. However, she rejected all of them. This meant that Pearl had never dated anyone until now. She knew what she wanted. She could fall in love if she merely wanted to find a normal man to spend the rest of her life with. She could even have dozens of them if she wanted to. However, she did not want that. She wanted to realize her self-worth. She wanted to change her fate and wanted to change her family's fate. When it came to those people capable of helping her realize her worth, there was a difference between someone who was used and someone untouched. So, she never dated anyone because she was waiting for this day. David was the target whom she would use to fulfill her life's purpose. As long as she could rely on David, she did not even need to climb up to the top. She just needed to attach herself to one of his limbs and it would be enough. She never wanted to marry a super rich kid like David because his family would find someone suitable for him. She knew her position. Since she wanted to venture down this path, then she would not think about marriage for the rest of her life. So, when David asked her to stay with him, she felt that this happiness came too suddenly, and she did not even know how to react. What's so inappropriate about this? I can't stay in such a huge house anyway. It's good to have someone to talk to sometimes. Of course, if you have a boyfriend then just pretend I never said such a thing so that there won't be any unnecessary misunderstanding, said David. No, I don't have a boyfriend. Actually, don't laugh at me, David, I've never dated anyone in my life. I just wonder if I'll disturb you like this, Pearl said quickly in case David misunderstood her. She never dated before. No way, David thought in his heart. However, he said, not at all. I like having people around. The house looks empty now that I'm staying here by myself. If you don't come, then I'll find 2 more people from my campus to make this place livelier. Since you're saying that, then I'll thank you for the offer. Should I move in tomorrow? Alright, it's settled then. Do you need my help? No need. I can manage. Plus, I don't have a lot of things. Alright, you can look around and see which room you want to stay in. You can choose any room on this floor, David said. Miss Pearl, didn't you ask me to go swimming with you? Now, we can do it anytime we want. There's a pool upstairs. Alright, should we go now? Pearl enticed. Cough cough, I don't think so. Let's do it another day. David felt that he was not as good as Pearl when it came to talking. Plus, Pearl was almost lying down and looked so seductive. This woman was born to be flirtatious. Pearl stood up and walked in front of David. Then, she bent down and blew against his ear. She said, well, David, darling, you can ask me out at any time. I've already bought my swimsuit and no one got to witness it yet. David's body became hot after Pearl flirted with him. He wanted to push this little minx down and punish her right there and then, but he still controlled himself. Then, he stood up and said, Miss Pearl, look around. I'll go upstairs to get something. We'll head back to the hotel later. David's face turned red as he found an excuse to go upstairs. He could not handle this. Right now, he felt that it was a bad idea to invite Pearl over. Who could endure such seduction every day? Wasn't this torture to his poor little soul? Pearl stood her ground and was giggling uncontrollably. She felt that David was too cute. However, she was also quite sure that David might be a virgin. Having said that, a super rich kid like David being a virgin. Who would dare to believe that? Does he have something wrong in that department? No way. If that's the case, how will I show him my advantage? How will I attach myself to this powerful person? No, this can't be. Pearl could only comfort herself silently in her heart. If David knew what Pearl was thinking right now, he might have already punished her. How dare she doubt his abilities? This was so humiliating. On the top floor, David threw himself on the luxurious bed. He came here to hide from Pearl. That woman was such a seductress that David could not endure it anymore. However, he was not disgusted by it. He took out his phone and opened Instagram. He noticed the photo of river leads he posted last night had garnered more than 100 comments. David read a few of them and they were basically making fun of him. He only replied to the comments of a few of his close friends. However, he did not tell them he bought a house here. No one would believe him anyway. When he went to his direct messages, he saw a few people had sent messages to him. Jenny had sent him good morning. There was another one from his cousin. It was his youngest aunt's eldest daughter. Her name was Lily Gregg and she was only 2 years younger than him. She was currently in the first year of university in another city. They were pretty close. Throughout the 3 years in high school, he stayed with his youngest aunt for the first 2 years. Only when he was in senior year did he move in with his eldest aunt. Since senior year was very stressful and his youngest aunt had a very mischievous son who would affect his studies, he decided to move in with his eldest aunt. His eldest aunt had a daughter who was 2 years older than David. Right now, she had already graduated and was working. Lily, David, where did you take this picture? It's stunning. David replied to her message. David, I took this in River City. If you like it, you can come to have fun here when you're on break. I'll take you around. Lily replied quickly. Lily, really, don't lie to me. David, of course, when did I ever lie to you? Lily, alright, that's settled. I'll go to find you the moment I'm on break. David, okay. Lily, David, I'm streaming on Whale Streaming tonight. Please come and support me if you have time. David, you little lass, you even know how to stream. Lily, David, you're so outdated. All 4 of us in my dorm are streaming. Not only is it fun, but I can also make some money. David, I'll go and take a look tonight then. I'll boost your popularity for you. Lily, right, David. Are you still working part-time? I made about $3,000 from streaming last month and then mom gave me $1,500. I'll transfer $2,000 for you later so you can take Sarah for something nice. David was a little touched when he saw that. Even though they rarely saw each other after he moved out of his youngest aunt's place when he was a sophomore, they were still close. David, no need. You should buy some nice clothes for yourself. When you come to River City, I'll give you a surprise. Lily, what surprise? David, it's a secret. Lily, ah, you meanie. David, I have to go now. Class is starting. Bye. David. Bye. After a while, David saw Lily transferring $2,000 to him. David hesitated before accepting it. I'll give you back 1,000 times, no, 10,000 times that tonight. David felt that it was almost time, so he went downstairs to toss Pearl a set of keys. Since he offered, he would need to do it. If he could not stand it anymore, he would move out and buy a new house. He had all the money in the world to do it anyway. To him, when a man and a woman had not yet established their relationship, they could not fool around. He had to be a responsible man. After this, the two of them went back to Golden Leaf Hotel. Chapter 10. At this moment, on the 33rd floor of the Golden Leaf Hotel. Inside the chairman's office, the general manager of Golden Leaf Hotel, Sean Caldwell, was standing opposite a man who was in his 30s. The man was sitting on the chairman's seat. He was reclined in the chair and his legs were on the desk. This man was Golden Leaf Hotel's chairman, Hugh Green. At the same time, he was also the biggest shareholder of the hotel. Sean, did anything happen in the hotel recently? Hugh asked. He came to South River Province for business, so he dropped by while he was at it. This occasion was purely by coincidence. Normally, he would only drop by once or twice a year. Mr. Green, everything's great in the hotel. The business is rising steadily and there's a 20% growth compared to the same quarter last year, replied Sean. Not bad. Sean, you did a good job. Your bonus at the end of the year will be doubled and the staff's bonus will increase 50%. Thank you, Mr. Green. Sean bowed and said, all right, go on with your business if there's nothing else. I just dropped by to have a look. I'll leave soon, Hugh said nonchalantly. After Sean contemplated for a while, he said, Mr. Green, I need to tell you something. Yesterday, a customer signed up for a membership card here and immediately topped up 100 million. Oh, using his name or his company's name? Hugh was interested. With his name. Yesterday, he ate a meal that cost 1,500,000. He even asked the hotel to prepare his meal every day using only the best ingredients. If he can't come, he asked us to just throw it away. Why does he sound like a parvenu to me? How old is he? Based on his information, he's 21 and he seems to be a student from SRU. 21, a student, he's topping up 100 million just for food. Have you met this person? Mr. Green, I didn't. The lobby manager Pearl Warner served him yesterday. Get me Pearl Warner. Yes, Mr. Green. Sean immediately barked into the walkie-talkie, is Ms. Warner here? Answer if you hear me. Soon, a voice answered from the walkie-talkie, Mr. Caldwell, Ms. Warner went out this morning and she's not back yet. Sean peered at Hugh and said into the walkie-talkie, which one of you knows what she's doing? No idea, she didn't tell us. Sean did not say anything anymore. He looked at Hugh and said, Mr. Green, I'll call her now. Hugh answered with a blank face, no need. We'll wait here and see when she comes back. Sean, a staff member is not in the hotel during work hours, and she even left without saying anything. Is this how you manage your staff? I'm sorry, Mr. Green. It's my mistake. I'll manage them better and I'll reorganize the hotel, Sean answered carefully. At this moment, he was a little angry inside. What was going on with Pearl? She was pretty good at her job, so why did she let him down at this crucial moment and cause him to get scolded? The two of them did not say anything. Hugh lowered his head to play with his phone while Sean stood rooted to the spot. He did not dare to move and only hoped that Pearl would come back soon. After the two of them went back to the hotel, David went straight to the private room for his meal. Meanwhile, Pearl ran straight to the general manager, Sean's, office. Just now, someone at the front desk told her that the manager was looking for her. When she saw that the general manager was not there, Pearl took out her walkie-talkie and asked, Mr. Caldwell, hello, this is Pearl. I'm in front of your office now. May I know where you are? Sean's legs were turning numb from standing in the chairman's office when he finally heard Pearl's voice. So, he replied, Pearl, come to the chairman's office. When Pearl heard Sean asking her to go to the chairman's office, she was shocked. Judging from Sean's voice, it seemed that something was wrong. The chairman must be here if he was asking her to go to the chairman's office. Mr. Green was a very mysterious person. She had been working in this hotel for more than 3 years, but she could only see him during their annual dinner. This time, he was asking her to meet him, but she was not here during working hours. If she did not handle this well, she would lose her job. She was not confident about David yet, so if she lost this job, it would be a lot of trouble. Pearl quickly walked to the chairman's office. A few minutes later, she arrived at the door to the chairman's office. Knock knock. Pearl knocked twice on the door. Come in. A deep and powerful voice came from inside. Pearl pushed the door open and saw the general manager, Sean, standing inside. The chairman Hugh was sitting opposite him. Mr. Green, Mr. Caldwell, hello, my name is Pearl Warner. Pearl closed the door and walked over before greeting timidly. When Hugh saw Pearl walking in after her introduction, he examined her closely. She was beautiful and had a hot body. Her uniform accentuated her charm of a professional working woman. He did not think that there would be such an amazing woman in the hotel. Her talents were completely wasted on being a lobby manager. Ms. Warner, you left your post during work hours, and you didn't even tell anyone. How did you manage to get this job as a lobby manager? Hugh lectured sternly. When Pearl heard Hugh lecturing her immediately, she was extremely nervous. She could not handle the aura from these people in leadership positions. However, she still explained, I'm sorry, Mr. Green. I left my post without explicit approval because I needed to accompany a guest. Accompany a customer. When did our hotel's lobby manager start to need to accompany our guest? Is it because it's required by the hotel, or are you thinking of currying favors with that person? Hugh asked sharply. He understood these women who wanted to leap to fame and wealth overnight. They would do anything to achieve their goals, and obviously, he felt that Pearl was this kind of woman. The moment he saw Pearl, he had a good impression of her. However, when he heard that she was going to accompany a hotel guest, he felt that Pearl was also that kind of woman because these women would always do such things. She said she was accompanying a guest, and it could mean a lot of things from eating and drinking together to even sleeping together. Mr. Green, you can penalize me or fire me, but please don't insult me. Mr. Liddell wanted to buy a car today and he drove a car over, so that's why he asked me to help drive the car back. Mr. Liddell is also the VIP of our hotel, so that's why I went, Pearl said, a little angry. Pearl felt aggrieved. Hugh thought she was a woman who would sleep with anyone as long as there was money. She could not accept this because at the very least, her body was still clean right now. She was 27, and in this society that was filled with temptations, it was not easy for a woman as beautiful as her to resist the temptations. Who is Mr. Liddell? Hugh asked. It should be the VIP who topped up 100 million yesterday. This time, it was Sean who answered. Where is he now? Liddell is eating in private room 3. Now, it was Pearl who answered. Come, let's go meet this VIP. I want to see if you're telling the truth, Ms. Warner. After Hugh said that, he got up and left his office with Sean and Pearl hurrying after him.